My partner, possibility, awesome person with lots of energy. Person that, for the first time, I felt that and I had someone to share with. You know, the principal, you feel very lonely on the top, and especially if you don't have a deputy. And then to the 10 principals and partners for possibility, and of course our learning facilitator as well. Thank you for being there for us through this year. It's an opportunity when we came to the COP that you didn't feel alone in the sense that you hear from others that they too had a rough day or a rough week, and so you feel not alone. So I want to really thank everyone for that, for the last year. So today is the presentation of the journey for the last year. And I just want to tell you that we haven't had a chance to talk through it, so this is going to be our first opportunity to be with us.
So we're really just going to play it by ear and kind of have an informal conversation. She's going to talk most of the time, and I'll add some of my learnings and my experience along the way.
So today it is about biting the bullet and going up first. Firstly, I tell our learners that it's always best to go up first, and the pressure's not there no longer. You can still relax. But the other thing is Jeanne-Lu needs to leave, and she needs to be out here by 4. Okay, so the reason why we joined School at the Centre of the Community was firstly because of networking with Ridwan at Canada, and he told me about this awesome project that he's part of. I didn't really understand the full extent of it, but then I met with Veronica, and then we chatted about the issues that we face at Pelican Farm, so the rationale behind it. And I said, off the bat, we're a school that starts out, our vision says we're a community-based institution. And on reflection, I don't think we are truly, in the sense, the community-based institution. It's limited just to using the community uses the facilities, yes, for madrasa, for our Christian organization, our Hindu organization, they use the facilities. We have karate classes, we have soccer, that type of thing. But really, with the parents really contacting with them, I don't think we do as much. The next one what I focused on was, for me personally, was I think we drove the academia more and left the extracurricular and co-curricular in a sense. And I thought that we're talking about holistic development, and we need to speak to both. And I found that as a fairly new principal, I had inherited a staff. Half the staff were SGB who had taken the package and came back. And so they were happy to be working in the class, but not when it came to all the other extras. So aging staff who were not really open to embracing change. Then I realized also that besides capacitating myself, I need to do so the staff as well, but also that we need to educate our community and our parents. So the school shouldn't just be about communicating or educating your learners, really. It's a learning institution. And so the bottom line for me was, though, that our work to the community was very conservative, and that we needed to change mindsets. So if anything else, with all of this in the back of our minds, that was the major aim that what we would focus on for this year. So the pressures that we were facing at our school in particular was a narrow mindset, I thought, more so. And then, of course, like in all the schools, is lack of finance. And with that, though, change, because we're in education, and for the last 17, 18 years, we've been going through change. And staff being able to deal with that. And then, of course, parent apathy, SGB being there, but not really truly fulfilling their role. So, for Sonia's sake, we decided the design of the course was obviously identifying the school and then identifying a partner that's going to try and meet the needs of the school as such. So I said, I need someone with energy. I've got a staff that is, aging, and hence I've got this young, energetic person, and I want to work with mind change, and Jeanne-Lu works in psychology and so forth. This course was where we were exposed to workshops, such as the community building session, Flawless, as well as Time to Think. And out of that, the main aim was, yes, you can identify issues at your school that you're going to work on throughout the year, but as a group, we needed to identify a community building session that we're going to do for Madiba Day, or something that's going to take a form. It's up to your school, really, which form it's going to take. So you had to do something for Madiba Day, really. That was the essence of it. And culminating in today, which is a presentation and a portfolio which records your journey over the last year. So the project team comprised of course, Symphonia, school-centered community, and then identifying the principal and partner, and then us as we sit over here at the community of practice, the 10 partners and principals, and of course we have our mentor or the learning facilitator, and then also exposure to the community of learning principals that we were exposed to. I think let's come to the crux of it now, the implementation of the project. So we focused and zoned in on what are we going to do for Madiba Day. And I have to tell you, maybe we shouldn't skip that for now, come back to later. So eventually, after 3 to 4 sessions, we decided, we realized what we wanted to do. We decided we're going to first do a test run before we have the Madiba Day program. So the test run was that we're going to work with our grade 6 parents and learners, and we're going to have a community building conversation with the grade 6. Why the grade 6? Because they one unit, one class, and so as far as numbers are concerned, it will be small. So what did we do? Once we knew exactly what we wanted to do, I just sent out a circular to the grade 6 parents. The grade 6 learners, I tried to enroll them and say, well, you're going to come up with the invitations, design it. You're going to get marked for that as well, but about also sharing your gifts as an opportunity to share your gifts. And you have all kids, give them an opportunity to take a stage, they're going to take the opportunity, and so they were up for it. So that was done well. Then spoke to the staff about it. We had a workshop with the staff, using a cafe conversation about what are the issues at the school, and then saying we would like to, depending on that, link it to the Madiba Day. So that's how we tried to involve the staff.
I'll interrupt you there, sorry. I think with that process, the biggest thing that we struggled with, or one of our biggest challenges we had was, or specifically for me, was to kind of navigate in a lot of uncertainty and not really knowing what, how, where, is this going to work, is this not going to work. And the fascinating thing about the sessions that we had before we actually made the decision was just that we'd have this brainstorming, thinking partner session, and then we would feel stuck and nothing would happen. And then 2 weeks later, I'd be back at the school and Vasintha would have just gotten all these ideas up there and implemented things. And so it felt like we were stuck. But actually, some magical things happened along the way, kind of in between the sessions. So that was quite a big learning for me in terms of just providing a platform, starting the thinking, and then kind of the seeds were planted in those thinking sessions with the actions and the implementation happening a little bit later on. But it was quite interesting for me how that played out, and even the session with the teachers as well. I think a lot of ideas were generated and kind of brought success and magical moments after that.
Yeah. I think for me, I found in the initial sessions with Jeanne-Lu, I came in usually becoming as expert. But knowing that Jeanne-Lu had the psychological, this background, I came in there rather as a client. So I sat over there and waited for her. So in the first few sessions it was like that, and she'd dish out, no, but we've done that already. No, I don't think it's going to work. You know, so that's where we went through in the first 3, and I think it was also about opening ourselves up, getting to trust one another, and once we got there, then it was...
And I think also it was also around trusting the process, and the process of being uncertain and then getting clarity through the uncertainties.
And so then we had our grade 6 conversation, and that turned out to be a great success, and as far as numbers of parents that attended and the learners' participation. So we'll play a short clip afterwards. Based on that, we decided, right, that's great, we're going to use a very same format, but we're going to add something extra to it. We're going to have also what is a soup kitchen with it. So we decided that in the morning session is going to be a community building conversation from 9 to 11 with the grade 2 parents, specifically grade 2s. And the rest of the school was enrolled to contribute donations towards the soup kitchen, which was soup and sandwiches and muffins and you know, little chips and so forth to go with it. I then involved the SGB as far as that one was concerned, to get parents to assist with transporting and donations. And then we also went to get the various stakeholders, the police, to be over there, because we identified the community that was neighbouring our school, that we would feed them, Umlani village, for those of you who know. And then we got the local newspaper involved as well. I even had an opportunity when I was doing a presentation for school hall for a proposal. I enrolled the director of NBC South, Eugene, and then I spoke about this program to him as well. And then went to Mrs. Chotia, then IMG, and IMGs as well, and told them about the program as well. Then when I went for the proposal, I mentioned this program as well. So what does the school do? And this is definitely one of the main things we were doing. So, so these are just some examples of our learners, their invites. You can go to the next one. And you can see how creative they were and how much effort they put into it. And so therefore they put so much effort that it meant a lot to them, and so therefore they got their parents on board and they wanted their parents over there. We'll show you the conversation later. This is the Mediba Day. We fed 600 learners and parents at Kumlani, and then we had so we had about 4,000 people, and we went to the surrounding areas nearby, Scarfell, and we fed them as well. This is the first time that our school had participated in something at that level. In the past, it was always about raising money or clothing, but not where we really go out and touch someone and see, and some of the learners going out there, parents, and I've got parents over there with me on the side, and we had the police and the neighborhood watch, and so it was really a community effort. By this time, Jeanne-Lu had left. We had gone to feed the second lot of people, the Sotos taken by them for the newspaper. So the impact of the project. I thought with the community building, the theory and methodology learned, we were able to use it now for the grade 2s and 6s, the conversations. I always believed before I joined this project that I needed to have a conversation with parents. I needed to touch and get closer to them. I didn't know how to, so it was always there but not how to get there. And so now I learned the methodology. When I had the conversation with the director about the school hall and talking about the various things that the school offers the community and at school and so forth, I then requested a letter of motivation from him. And so obviously, bearing this in mind as well, he wrote a letter of motivation which carried very, very strongly. And as a result of that, we will have a school hall built by September. So do you see how far you're reaching? And then I completed last year, was my second year with the ACE course. The kids completing hers this year. And I got a distinction. I was the only one to get a distinction. But I think, I don't say that for that sake, but I felt the learnings there as well as here allowed me to get a more balanced picture, a rounder picture regarding that, a better perspective. And then with flawless consulting and time to think, I had 2 educators on the staff who were very difficult, very critical. It's only 2 out of 18, but the 2 can sometimes cloud your mind, and you see the 2 and not the 16. And they impact on the morale of the staff. And after that, in the flawless consulting, I had to come with role playing and scenario and so forth. I used the one educator in it. And when I went back to school, I got that person in the conversation. I spoke to them after trying to skirt it for 2 years. Went head to head. And eventually this individual realized, firstly this one was 67 years old. He needed to retire. He had other issues at home. The learners were suffering, the discipline was suffering, the staff was feeling it, and after 2 years carrying him, he realized that he needed to throw in the towel. That was on. The other one was someone that had lots of personal issues, and she became very, very bitter person, and everybody would be the brunt of it, and the kids especially. And after chatting with her, making her realize that, I see you, I care about you, and all of these other things she thought about, and she's such a changed person this year.
Fabulous.
And then also, we have an opportunity. I'm not necessarily a person that naturally just stands in front and chats, and you sometimes put in that position, and you have to. And with that, I needed to do, at the conference, principals conference, I was also invited to do a presentation of 49 techniques. And again, I'm saying it's the exposure opportunity to share, to learn, platforms like this that empowers one. So the impact of the project continuing, networking. And through networking, like I said, I went to Academy Primary's WordWorks program, and there I learned about the literacy program. I said, what a fantastic program. And that's how we had last year 2 very successful WordWork certification programs. And as we speak now, the 3rd one is just completed. So that's how we're touching more parents, educating parents. And then as a result of being connected to school those set the community, email was sent out to say that there's an organization looking for a school that would like to have their learners trained in media monitoring, how to monitor media, be more critical and so forth. I said yes, and so we're the only school in the Western Cape that's on that project, and 20 of our learners have been skilled and 2 educators, and they then last year they appeared, there was an article in the newspaper, the August, that they went to meet the editor and so forth. So that's a fantastic opportunity. Our grade 6s and 7 learners have had HIV/AIDS training free of charge, and I hope the others have taken that opportunity as well. We had a 5-hour training as a result. Through cafe conversations facilitated by Jeanne-Lu, we were exposed to the methodology, but also an opportunity for us to, as a staff, to collectively come to an agreement as to what we're going to do for Madiba Day, so they buy into it. Jeanne-Lu also ran a workshop on neuroscience with us, in particular looking at change, but we didn't have time to complete it. But we focused on developmental stages, and for me it was an aha moment that even that child that's 12 years old is not going to understand, because unfortunately developmentally, time-wise, he's not ready to understand what you're trying to say. You're breaking your head, and it takes you at least until your early 20s where that part of the brain actually completely matures. Okay, I'm also, as a result of the connection over here, now part of Common Purpose for this year, for the first 6 months, so we're part of that program. Trying to further my knowledge as far as leadership and skills are concerned. And then, of course, the other things, the main things I think is the learning and the mind changes and so forth. But we also were able to then get 10 refurbished computers from the Department of Justice, which we now have extra in the staff room for teachers to use, and a couple extra in our computer lab. Of course, like you all, we have 2 beautiful frames that's mounted in the foyer. That captures everyone's attention. But the most important thing for me, I think, of all these things besides the plants that we received, is the partner of the year and the fact that we are able to share. When we come to meetings, I learn so much from you, and that's how I could then, go and try that as well. The phone and networking, that's so important. And yeah, I'm going to stop there. So that's the new hall that we're looking at. It'll be great. And the next photo is showing our parents the excitement. You know what? Can you see that's a mother? Getting all excited. But let's just see. And so recommendations going forward. I feel that, yes, we've done all of these things, but for me, it was supposed to be looking at mindsets, changing the community's mindsets. And for us, it's a process. And we've just started, we just scratched the surface. I realized that with the Madiba Day, the community building session wasn't as successful as the first one was, as far as numbers for that for grade 2s. Why? I think personally, because it worked so well with the grade 6s, I left it to the grade 2 parents, and I didn't really give it as much emphasis as I did following up. And then the second thing was my energy was all on the second part of the day, which was trying to get the donations in and so forth, and that really worked fantastic well. So it's learning about how to monitor in particular. I think that's where I failed, was monitoring, because with the grade 6 conversation as well as the Madiba Day, when parents were enrolled, when parents were called into that forum, they opened up their share. So they're wanting to come in, they're just asking for invitation. But where I lacked was again monitoring, keeping a record of what it is that they volunteered and then take up their offer. I think also the community building sessions in future will be on a smaller scale, so that I can know you and meet you rather than a group of 10. A class, divide them into groups of 10 and have the small conversations so that they truly feel heard as parents. And you get to know them one-on-one with names. But if it's in a big group, you still hide, you don't feel heard. I think where we should have, I see the time, where we should have started was with the staff and the SGB as far as the community building conversation was concerned, and then moved to the parents. And I've tried to encourage the 10 components of time to think just recently with put it as part of our yearbook for our staff meetings and so forth. And so we just touch the surface with that one. And I was surprised at first. I thought maybe people would think, oh, it's again, it's hogwash or whatever, but they were open to it. That's not when once I published it. I'd just like to say that going forward, the COP reports, that more emphasis should be put on it so that we can get it in immediately, and so we're not stressed about it now and trying to remember what did we do then.
We've learned that one too.
And then just to encourage that, even if this is the last, that we try and encourage that we meet at least once a month or once every 2 months. It's so important to keep that connection and go forth. Okay, so that's it.